I was really, really hoping over the next 48 hours, JJ Redick would talk a little bit about his decision and, kind of humble himself a little bit. What was the storyline out of game 4? The main storyline out of game 4. Lakers lost the game. Yes. Minnesota up 3-1. Yes. All that. The main story out of game 4 was JJ Redick did something that has not been done in the history of the NBA playoffs. Okay? But just take that for a quick second. JJ Redick did something that had not been done in the history of the NBA playoffs. And unfortunately for JJ Redick, it wasn't a good thing. It was a loss for the Lakers, and it was not subbing in the second half and not using any of your size, and LeBron James 40 years old, and he didn't get a breather. Okay, whether the Lakers lost game 4 because of that or not, they lost, and that was a storyline. And JJ Redick after the game basically said, "No, I have no regrets, and we there's a reason why they did it, and guys missed some layups, and that game could have easily gone our way." All right, probably not the best answer. Okay, the next day in practice, JJ, any regrets here? Nope, no regrets. We kind of doubling down. Okay, so yesterday I'm in the presser, the pregame presser, and I know why this really turned me off, and I'm not telling you that JJ's in the wrong. But let's just play it real quick because this happened yesterday. Let me find this here real quick. I guess I'll just play the question as well. And listen, I'm not even telling you that I like the question. I'm not even telling you that it's fully justified or anything like that. But I am going to tell you how much I hate JJ Redick's answer. Just take a quick listen, and this kind of goes into my JJ Redick kind of the theme of where I'm going in this.
What do you recall about your thought process in the moment, sticking with the 5 you stuck with in the fourth quarter the other day? And is there an assistant or someone maybe that you'll lean on tonight, maybe to try to get some other guys involved if that opportunity presents itself?
Are you saying that because I'm inexperienced and that was an inexperienced decision that I made? You think I don't talk to my assistants about substitutions every single time?
Pause it right there. There's a couple ways JJ can take this. Listen, you might like the question. You might not like the question. That's irrelevant. JJ's response is somebody that's insecure with his decision and clearly is upset that that's still a topic. JJ, of course it's a topic. It's never been done before in NBA history, and your squad lost. That comes with the territory. And frankly, that's okay. All right, you effed one up. Maybe that's the difference of the series. You're going to have to live with it. Keep listening to him.
Timeout?
No, I just think there's a lot of coaches lean on their assistants in those situations.
As do I, every single time. That's a weird assumption.
Walks off in this pre-presser, right? Okay. What do you walk away with in that? Here's what I walk away with in that. I walk away with that couple things. JJ, why don't you just bullshit the answer? I always depend on my assistant coaches. What happened in game 4 is behind us. When the season ends, if there's areas that I feel like I could learn from, then I'm going to learn from it. But I cannot tell you how much I depend on my assistant coaches. And you guys might not see it, but trust me, every single possession, I depend on my assistant coaches. That's it. It's not a viral moment. It's not, look at JJ walking out. TNT is not going to go in there and instantly start grabbing that and say, did you guys see JJ's response to this? It showed insecurity. It showed somebody that clearly it's still bothering him, that people are questioning his decision. It showed, I thought it was childish. And I'm sitting there. I'm in the room with the presser. And I kind of had my head down. I'm like, tell me this is not unfolding right now. Tell me this is not what's happening. Okay. That has nothing to do with X's and O's. That has nothing. It's just his reaction to it. I did not like. Did not like his reaction. I'm gonna play. I'm gonna play something for you guys here real quick. Okay. This is now for a head coach that had a phenomenal first year as the Lakers head coach. That got a lot of compliments. All right. If something that JJ Redick's going to have to learn. JJ Redick's going to have to learn something, especially as the Lakers head coach. You don't think scrutiny is going to come? Of course scrutiny is going to come. This is the Lakers' job. And I thought he did a brilliant job in the regular season. I thought to get 50 wins, I thought his relationship with the players, I thought how driven he was, how driven the players were. I thought he didn't make any excuses throughout the season. I thought there was a lot of things JJ Redick did in the regular season that was like, all right, yeah, I think this coach is going to be, obviously the coach for the Lakers for a while. This playoff series, it's like, all right, you lost. You didn't look good in the process. He looks frustrated. He looks like the moment was too big. He made decisions that everybody is looking at each other and saying, JJ, these are some obvious things that you could have done. His reaction to some of the questions, just an awful playoff run for JJ Redick. Here's the perception of what we had with JJ Redick, call it 2 weeks ago. And here's now the perception of JJ Redick. And I'm going to play this for you guys as well. This was on Get Up, and it was Brian Windhorst talking about JJ Redick. I want you guys to take a listen. This is how quick the narrative changed. I've said this before. JJ's obviously going to be the head coach for the Lakers for a while and everything else, but that doesn't mean it doesn't come with scrutiny. Take a listen to Brian Windhorst talking specifically about JJ Redick.
Morning. Yeah, we're just gonna make this real easy. This is about three things. One, as Mr. Wilbon said, it's a flawed roster. When they decided to rescind the Mark Williams trade back in February and they weren't going to have a starting center, they knew they were going to be in trouble. There was a pathway for them to play where they could really do some damage, but it was a narrow pathway and they fell off of it pretty quickly. Secondly, and I don't mean this in a personal way, JJ Redick coached very immaturely in this series.
I should have started right there. Listen to Brian Windhorst just keying in on the JJ Redick piece of this.
He was still seething and upset about the previous games to the point where Reggie Miller said on the broadcast last night he had to try to calm him down in the pregame meeting because JJ was acting, frankly, childishly. He walked off and stormed off in the pregame session with reporters. Regardless of the question, it's not the way to start. And then he not only did he double down on his, frankly, irrational decision not to substitute for an entire half in a playoff game. He doubled down on that. And then in this game, he played a guy who hadn't played in 3 months ahead of centers that he had on his roster. He played Maxi Kleber. He had never even practiced with the Lakers. Maxi Kleber's on the court with 5 minutes to go in like a 2-possession game. That is not a rational decision. I'm sorry. I mean, I don't even know if Mark Williams was on this team, whether JJ would have played him. And that's just not, I suspect in retrospect, JJ will realize he didn't put the Lakers in the best position to win. And then the third thing.
Stop it right there. A lot of the stuff, the Mark Williams trade, what Lakers do in the offseason, I'm not doing today. We got plenty of time to talk about that stuff. But that is now the perception of JJ Redick. The perception today. Can it change down the road? Of course. Of course it can change down the road. But the perception today of JJ Redick is, brother, you can't take a little criticism in a playoff series where, forget even the X's and O's. Here's the funny thing. I'm 35 minutes into the show, whatever I am. I haven't even mentioned one thing about why they didn't use Jackson Hayes at all yesterday. I haven't mentioned one thing about some of the other decisions that he didn't make. I'm just talking about his reaction to the decisions. That pre-presser really bothered me yesterday. And I saw some people said, in the comments, well, that was a stupid question. Well, let me tell you something. Stupid questions are asked every single game, including myself. They just happen. All right, you're trying to make a point here, or maybe somebody's trying to be a little aggressive with a question or trying to get a trigger point from the head coach. It happens all the time. But how you react to those questions, I think, is more important. And JJ Redick in this playoff series was outcoached, was exposed, and act like a child during some of these exchanges. Come on, JJ. I mean, when things are going great, a lot of people were complimenting JJ Redick. When things aren't going good, of course he's going to get criticism. As the head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers, of course he's going to get attention and criticism. Of course that comes with it. I hope this is a learning moment for JJ, and I hope there's a much different JJ Redick that comes into to next year. But this comes with the territory. Come on now, this comes with the territory. Bullshit. The answer back, walking out in the pregame presser before Game 5 started for what? What are you giving everybody all this ammo for? There is literally no reason to do that. I don't see a reason for it. And now if we just go back to the basketball portion of things, I told you guys, I said that I was going to ask. I thought a really key moment in Game 4 was about the challenges. Lakers not having a challenge late, and Chris Finch Minnesota having a challenge late in the game. I thought that was one of the key differences in Game 4. I asked that question. I asked JJ, hey, what's the strategy behind your challenges? What's the science behind that? How much are you trying to hold them on late? I asked the same question to Chris Finch. I wanted to kind of get both of their perspectives from it. But if you go back and you look at this series, Minnesota was clearly better. Minnesota was clearly a more complete roster. I'm not telling you that the Lakers don't have holes, but there were also moments where you thought, hey, your coach can have a better influence on this game, and that coach was supposed to have a better influence, and I felt like Chris Finch just did a better job overall. So that would be my thoughts on, obviously how JJ Redick approached this playoff series and his first playoff series. He's got some learning to do. There's only so much a coach can do. So I don't think JJ Redick he was an awful coach this year. And I do think the Lakers got exposed primarily because of their broken roster. But my point about JJ Redick, I just don't like how the vibe and how he handled things when mistakes were made, or when people were saying like, hey, I don't think that was the right decision. That's more my point. Like, losing or making a mistake, I pay a little bit less attention to, even though, clearly Rudy Gobert had, I think, 27 and 24 yesterday. You don't want to try Jackson Hayes for a few minutes? I thought their decision, Trey Jamison III, to not have him on the roster, Alex Len, bringing him in, did absolutely nothing. I thought that was an interesting, move and play. I thought Jordan Goodwin could have got some more minutes during this series, especially these last couple of games. What do you got to lose? I know some people wanted to see Dalton connect. There was a stubbornness and really kind of a wild disrespect to all the other players on the roster that basically saying, I got zero confidence. Brian Windhorst said it. You played Maxi Kleber, who hasn't played since January, in a playoff game, more minutes than Jackson Hayes. So that kind of tells you something right there. All right, thank you very much for watching the clip. Just want to give a shout out here to one of our partners, the Wallace Firm. They are official injury attorney of the Sliwa Show and Hoops Talk, the entire channel. If you are ever in a need, and I hope you're not, but some type of serious injury with yourself or a family member of yours, I would like to personally help you by introducing you to the best in the business, Brad Wallace and the Wallace Firm. Also got a URL out here that you can use as well. Just go to wallacewins.com/Sliwa. Thank you for their partnership, and thank you for being a part of the Sliwa Show.